Hello and welcome to Chapter 4 in our decision-making process. One of the, decision-making programs, one of the issues that a number of students have is actually with the package program. Because in the package program, there's a number of different concerns with weight, and you could have different results for it. So a delivery service does not accept packages heavier than 27 kilograms or larger than 0.1 cubic meters or 1,000 cubic centimeters. Create a package check application that prompts the user for the weight of a package and its dimensions, and when check package is clicked, displays an appropriate message if the package does not meet the requirements. So it has, you have two different requirements you're looking at. You're looking to see basically if this number right here is greater than 27. And these 1, 2, 3 numbers multiplied together are greater than 100,000 cubic centimeters. So if this number is greater, it says too heavy. If this number is greater, it says too large. And then if both numbers are greater, it says too large and too heavy. And a lot of individuals have an issue kind of with setting that up and how to do a combination. They get all these if-then statements and all this other stuff together. And I'm going to try to simplify it and kind of show you the way I look at these things by showing you how I program this. So we're looking for too large, too heavy, or both. And our parameters are 27 or 100,000. So I'm just going to go over here. In my check button, notice I've already set it up, enter packages data, weight, length, width, height, and test results. And if I take a look at the way I've named my items, notice I've named my labels, form, package check, label centimeters, label height, label instructions, label test, weight, width, text height, text length, text weight, text width. So I've always named them. The LBL centimeters I probably should have called maybe LBL height, but it doesn't matter. And there's button check package and form check package. So I've named them all. That's good. So the very next step I'm going to do is I'm going to have some sort of calculations involved. So I'm going to go to my check button, since that's the thing that sets it all off. And I'm going to dim int height, as integer, dim int weight as integer, dim int length as integer, and dim, so we have length, width, height, as well as weight. There's width, int width as integer. Now you'll note that since this is a section on variables, I'm using variables. A lot of individuals, they read about the variables, they don't quite understand it, and then they try to do whatever it is without using what's in the chapter. If the chapter is about variables, use variables. If the chapter is about functions, use functions. Make sure you're using what you're supposed to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take in the values. I'm going to say int height equals txt height dot text. There we go. So I'm taking in the values and storing it in. So int weight equals txt weight dot text. Int weight equals txt length dot text. And int width equals txt width dot text. So now I have two basic variables. The first variable is I'm looking for the weight, and then I'm looking for the dimensions in centimeters, which is height times length times width. So an easy way, I'm going to break it down further, and I'm going to put in int excuse me, dim int dimension. Now, the reason I did it in this particular fashion is because of the fact I'm breaking it down a little bit at a time. So now I'm going to do int dimension equals int height times int length times int width. So after I get all those three taken care of, now I'm dealing with two things. I'm dealing with height and I'm dealing with width. Now, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to dim int test as integer. Now the reason I do this is because of the fact that it makes it easier for me to do the following. So, if int height greater than 27, int test equals int test plus 1. So, if package is overweight, then we'll add 1 to the test. Add 1 test. Now, we got that. So, there's that one. If int dimension greater than 100,000, because that's our limit, then int test equals int test plus 2. If package is oversized, then add 2 to test. Now what happens is select, I can do, select case int test. Now, so the first one is case 1. If case 1, it's the test results are going to go there. That's LBL test. So LBL test dot text equals 2 heavy. So it's just going to put 2 heavy in there. So case 2, LBL test dot text equals 2 large. So it's just going to put 2 large in there. And then case 3, LBL test dot text equals 2 heavy and 2 large, or 2 large and 2 heavy, whatever. And then, so there's my end case. This checks int test to determine if the package is in violation. The point behind that is now watch. I have my items declared. I then take in the values of the items in the text boxes. I assign them to my variables. Then I determine what my dimension is. So I've got two things. I've got height and I've got my dimension. If my dimensions are over 100,000, because remember my problem states, it says is larger than 0.1 cubic meters or 100,000 cubic centimeters. Since it's all in centimeters anyway, I don't have to do a conversion. There's 100,000. It's larger, so greater than, and a greater than 27. All right, that works. So here's my greater than 27, and here's my greater than 100,000. Now you'll notice if it's greater than 27, it adds 1 to int test. It doesn't make int test 1, it adds 1 to it. And then this next one is, if it's greater than 100,000, it doesn't make int test 2, it adds 2 to it. So if it's already violated this, meaning it's too heavy, and it violates this, meaning it's too large. This one added 1 to it, this added 2. As a result, the value is 3. It'll come up too heavy and too large. If it's just 1, it'll come up too heavy. If it's just 2, it'll come up too large. And if it's none of these, it won't change anything. There's no modification to it at all. Now, if I wanted to, I could put in a case else. I could do something like this. Case else LBL test dot text your package passed. So that way we have results in all of the cases. So let's go ahead and run this real quick. So now as I have just created this, there might be some issues. Let's see. So my weight is 30, let's say, and for length I put 10, my width I put 10, and I put 10. I check my package. Your package passed. Well, obviously there's an issue because my weight is greater than 30. It should have had an issue. So let's close this. Let's go back over here. That's why I put in height. It wasn't greater than 27. It did what it was supposed to do. So we had a logic error. So this actually should have been in weight. And once again, I don't change this in any way, shape, or form because I want you to see what it is in the raw. Mistakes and everything. So my weight is 30. 10, 10, 10. Gonna check this. It says too heavy. That's perfect. Now if I change this back to 10, your package passed. And if I put 100 here, come on. Now it says it's too large because all of those are above that. But notice the weight isn't there. This is there, so now it says too large. Now if I put 100 here, it says too heavy and too large. So it's going through that case statement right here, and it's trying to determine, is it too heavy, is it too large, is it too heavy and too large. And depending upon what the results are, with the added here and the added here, if it's just too heavy, it'll trigger this. If it's just too large as in the dimensions, it'll trigger too large. If it's actually both, it'll trigger both of these. One adds 1 to int test, one adds 2 to int test. So we end up with a third result. If neither one of these are triggered, int test, since it's an integer, its default value is 0. As a result, it'll say, hey, your package passed. I could put in case 0 because it can't be anything else than that, and it would say the exact same thing. So this is a problem that gives people some fits when they first run into it. This is how I solve it. Use of that test value, especially with numerics, numerical values, does help. Just kind of be aware that it's not the only solution. If you come up with something more efficient, that's perfectly fine. But as we hit Chapter 4, efficiency is the key. So if you do this, but it involves a whole lot more coding or a whole lot more compound statements or things, you might want to rethink about doing it this particular form. You don't have to do it this way, but it gives you an example. And like I said, if you have any further questions, you can seek your resources, you can talk to your sub, or you can post a message on the discussion board and we can go from there. Or a question on the discussion board and we can go from there. Hopefully I'll be back soon. Thank you very much for your time. Have yourself a very good day. Goodbye.